it going? My name's Shan and I want to make this video to talk about the Lesbian Masterdoc. So just a quick intro, I'm a baby queer. I've been out for about 2 to 3 years now. The labels that I connect with are lesbian, transgender and gender fluid. The reason I connect with the lesbian label is because I recognize that I am, or I have a female body and I'm attracted of someone of the same. I recognize and connect with the transgender label because I experienced body dysphoria, and for many years of my childhood I thought I was a boy in a girl's body. I suppose I connect with gender fluid non-binary because I'm neither 100% comfortable or recognize myself in males or females. I try not to get too caught up on the labels. So I wanted to make this video to talk about the Lesbian Masterdoc. It's broken up into 3 parts. First part, I want to talk about the Lesbian Masterdoc and all the discussions around it being biphobic, not biphobic. The second part of the video, I want to look at the Lesbian Masterdoc itself, just reflect on it, and there's about 3 things that I want to add some comments around. In part 3, I'll be sharing how I deal with comphet and attraction. So, is the Lesbian Masterdoc biphobic? I do not see it as biphobic, and the reason for that is, well, I firstly need to understand what biphobia means. To my understanding of that is that someone or something, or there's some sort of prejudice that's being created against bisexual people. These people that have created that prejudice are called biphobic, right? There's a fear of bisexual people. Let's break it down into basic definitions there. I look at the document and I look at the language that's being used in it. Is it trying to hate on bisexual people? Is the language used in the document trying to elicit fear towards bisexual people? And I honestly couldn't find it. Show me a sentence, a paragraph. What is it in there that you believe is prejudice towards bisexuals or creates fear against bisexuals? I honestly couldn't see it. Now, what the document is, it's pro-lesbian. It's not anti-bisexuals. It's just pro-lesbian. And there's a real difference to looking at it through those 2 angles. It's trying to answer the question of, am I a lesbian? And it's trying to answer that through looking at its attraction to males. Is that a valid attraction? Because of compulsory, heterosexuality, how has that impacted my feelings to men and my feelings to female? It's just looking and exploring at that. It's not hating on bisexuals. I can't see it. Well, I recognize and understand that lots of the experiences mentioned in the document is not unique to just lesbian women. Even if it excludes other sexualities, it isn't fearful of those sexualities. It's not prejudice against those sexualities. The way I see it is, I don't know if this analogy is going to make sense, but the way I see it is if I visit my parents and I want to talk to my dad about something and I don't include my mom in it, I'm not excluding her. I just want to have a conversation with my dad about something. There's a real difference is if I operated with the intention of deliberately leaving my mom out in some sort of conversation or news and just going to my dad to talk about that. So similarly to the document, why everyone is saying it's a document created, for lesbians, therefore it's not prejudice towards other sexualities, is simply because of that. Its intention is to figure out if you are a lesbian. Its intention is not to figure out if you're a bisexual. It's been a savior for them to figure out their sexuality. For others, it's created turmoil, it's created confusion. What we can appreciate here, I think, is that doesn't matter if you come to a place of peace or turmoil. The fact of the matter is the document and the contents in there is allowing you to actually look at yourself. And I think that's something that we can appreciate. And it might be uncomfortable, and it might not even be right, but you won't know that. Sometimes you need to know what you're not, to know what you are. It's not always about finding who you are. It never explicitly says you are or you aren't something. The language it uses is you might want to investigate, might want to explore. You can try on the label. It's really giving you the option and the choice to decide what is it that you want to do. If you want to choose the lesbian label, then choose that, explore that, see how you feel about that. If it's not for you, then it's not for you. It's not a static choice, especially when it comes to sexuality, especially when it comes to feelings. Feelings is not static. I don't just have the one feeling. It's constantly shifts and moves and dances. So there was 3 points that kind of stood out to me that I want to share about. In terms of that misconception that everyone is born knowing they're gay, that's not necessarily true. Now, while I don't know if everyone is born knowing they're gay, I believe many of us are born having some idea of how we feel. What's getting in the way is the judgment of that. So what I mean by that is, I know when I'm attracted to another female, and I've always known that as a child. But the older I got, the more judgments I had towards it. And so there's my feeling, my heart feeling something, then there's my mind judging it. And so it's doubting it, it's putting shame towards it. And so over time, if you do that long enough, you don't trust how you feel anymore. And if you don't trust who you feel anymore, there's a sense of self that you lose. That's my experience of that. I put myself in relationships with men knowing that the attraction towards them wasn't the same as the attractions I had towards females, but being scared and not knowing that it was okay to be attracted to females. And so I suppose accepted, or just became okay with how I felt towards males. Attraction is super complicated. It's possible to recognize a man is attractive and not be attracted. To me, attraction is actually not complicated. Again, it comes back to that doubt and that judgment on attraction. That's what makes it complicated. Attraction is actually quite simple. I'm attracted to someone. I feel like I want to spend time with them. I think about them. I gravitate towards them. Attraction is being drawn, right? So at its purest, it's actually very simple. What makes it complicated is the judgment towards it. Thinking that we shouldn't feel this way, having shame on the attraction, worried about how family or friends or whatever's going to think about that. That's what makes it complicated. It's almost like we have the primary feeling, which is feeling great, attracting towards someone. Then there's the secondary feeling, which is, the guilt, the shame, whatever it is that we experience. And that comes up from judging the primary feeling. So that's why I actually think attraction is pretty simple. It's not, but it may not be easy to understand. You don't have to relate to all of these to identify as a lesbian. I'd like to assure you that even though you currently have a boyfriend, a husband, or had one in the past, that does not make you any less of a lesbian. The fact that it says that, it assumes that you are already a lesbian, even if you've had a boyfriend, a husband, or had one currently or in the past. So I guess that's where you can get in trouble with this, is it starts off questioning whether you are a lesbian, but really in conclusion, the author has already decided that they are. And so if you're reading this and you're putting yourself in the shoes of the author, you would come to the conclusion that you are a lesbian because they have. and you're reading it through their lens. So what could be helpful is when you read this, perhaps be aware that a young adolescent wrote this to explore their sexuality and their beliefs that they might be a lesbian, which may not be the case with you. If you can perhaps create some space between your own identity and the identity of the author, then at least you won't collapse the two. You don't read this and think that it's you. Attraction and compulsory heterosexuality and how to deal with that. What has helped me is kind of recognize that, okay, society has been created in a way to promote female and male relationships. That's the conditioning that I've been under, rather than questioning my attraction towards males because of compet. Another approach I think is useful is giving myself permission to be attracted to females. Give yourself permission to be a homosexual. Give yourself permission to date outside of the gender norm. Give yourself permission to not know your sexuality. Give yourself permission to be confused about this. It's okay. Try to find the fun in the discovery process rather than connect with the pain of not knowing. Connect with the pain and the suffering of uncertainty. Give yourself permission to love and to receive love.